Hi everybody, Bob Stafford here, Trainmaster Bob, and today I want to show you how I went about weathering the service tracks on my engine terminal here at Lime Junction on my Erie Lock 1 and Memories branch line HO scale layout. I'm going to begin by taking Flocal Oily Black. I'm going to spread it around here in the engine terminal. My memories of working in these engine terminals over the years is you walked into these places and you got black gunk all over the bottom of your shoes, just from all the oil that you walk through on the tracks. So that's what I'm trying to recreate here. Done spraying now. We're going to let this sit and dry and see how it looks. I've totally soaked the area in between the three service tracks with the Flocal Oily Black color. And I've also sprayed it on the concrete castings underneath the oil supply pipelines, and also in front of the oil house door. Next step is I'm going to try to simulate the mud puddles that are always present around the roundhouse. When the guys would water the engines, they would turn their hose on, stick it in the engine. When they got done, they just leave the hose running and walk to the next engine and stick it in there and start to water it, so they didn't have to get on and off the engines and turn the water off. So this always left water and oil just laying around the service tracks all the time, that you try to jump over the mud puddles or walk around them, and it just left this muddy, gooey mess of oil and sediment, mud, ballast, whatever, all over the place, and you just get it all over the bottom of your shoes, and then you would track it all over. So to do that, what I'm going to try doing is taking some of this Mod Podge, luster, gloss Mod Podge, and put some in a conduit cup. I buy these conduit cups over at, well, just want to pour at Cash and Carry, and they're super cheap. They come in a package of 1,000, and I use these for everything, for mixing paint in. I use them for putting glue in. Just about anything you can think of, I use these for. And then I'm going to go add a little bit of the oily black to this. Get the lid off. Okay, get the lid off here. And I'm just going to put a little tiny bit in here. Just 2 drops. And stir it in. Try to get that oily sheen that was always on top of the water. And I found Palets will not work with the Mod Podge just because it's just too thick. So we're just going to take it, and we're going to start with one of these dowels you get at Hobby Lobby. I find them great to be using for mixing paint. Just going to start working this down the sides here around the engine terminal, and represent the water that would be laying here all the time, so you them like never go away. So this little thick liquid is going to self-level itself as we work it in here. Well, I finished spreading the gloss luster around the engine terminal here on the service track. And we'll just have to wait for this to dry, which will probably be 24 hours or more since it's raining here in the Pacific Northwest. It's damp. And then we'll go on to our next step, which is going to be the piles of sand from sanding the engines and testing the sanders in the engine house. Well, my next step in the process here is to simulate sand. For this, I'm using this product from Arizona Rock and Mineral, their sand house and beach sand. It's a great product, very, very finely pulverized sand here. It's got that right look for Roundhouse sand, and I spread it around with a spoon to represent the sand. The next, we'll just take some wet water here, just from a repurposed bottle. Go ahead, just wet all this up. And now I'm going to come through and I'm going to use a mixture, about 50% water, 50% Elmer's glue, and a drop of dishwashing liquid. And I use that to glue this down instead of matte medium, which I normally use, because matte medium sets up as hard as a rock and I can't do anything with it. I've got to be concerned about the flangeways here. I ran my fingernail on the inside of all these tracks to make sure I had the sand away from them. But still, I just might need to get in there and wet up the sand and pick some sand away from the inside of the rail, and that's why I'm going to use white glue. Okay, I got my glue mix made up here. I made it in an old matte medium bottle, actually, and I'm just going to go through now, and you know the drill here. I'm just going to start gluing my sand down. I've just wetted it with the wet water. Plenty right there because the sand gets thick right in there. And I'll just continue now and I'll glue all this sand down. While I'm waiting for the glue to dry on the sand, the other thing I'm going to do while I'm here is all this area in here. That's about 8 years old. The foam is just all faded and everything. I'm going to go spruce it up a bit. Going to put some static grass in there and just make it look better. Well, my experiment using the Bragdon colors just isn't going to work. So what I found actually works is it just takes some of the Flocal oily black here, and the other manufacturers of paints now have come out with this. I know Vallejo has a oily black. Rub some of it off on the paper towel, and then I just start. And it's actually starting to give it the right color that I remember in the engine terminals. And over here, I'm not going to do anything because this is always fresh stuff over here. But all this up through here, I'm going to go ahead and just do off the side of the bottle, wipe it. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the engine terminal. Get that dirty look onto my sand. And then I think I'll be happy and move on to the next project. To finish up my engine terminal here, I'm just going to take dry brush, I guess, or whatever you call some of this Bragdon chalk. What I use is a brush that I cut the bristles down real short, which made it really hard, and that's what I use to go around and start to some of this black into the You can see here too how it's making those crack lines really pop. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this on the rest of the platform here. And I got to glue this back up on here again. This keeps getting knocked off in operating sessions. And I've lost count how many times I've glued it on. Drilled out the hole. It is what it is. Just things get knocked around by hands during operating sessions, and that's just a fact of life. Well, I finished going around with the Bragdon colors. Brushed around over here. Some blacks and grays, dirtied up that concrete. Now it's time to put the engine service facility back in service. Well, I hope you guys found some useful information in this video and some ideas on how to weather up your engine terminal to make it look a bit more realistic and grubby, like I remember walking around them and at work. This is Trainmaster Bob, and just a reminder to like the video and to subscribe to our channel. Bye.